Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to answer the question, is Chewy stock a buy? I'm going to use my simplified 6-step framework to analyze that question, so let's get right into it. The first step in my framework looks at customer value, and revenue grew from 901 million in 2016 to 8.9 billion in 2022. This is evidence that customers are liking what Chewy has to offer. Of course, Chewy is an e-commerce platform for pets. It's the Amazon of pet retailers. And Chewy boasts a net promoter score of 35. If we look at the scale here, you can see what's a good NPS score, and Chewy ranks as great between 30 and 70. So a great customer value for Chewy. The next step in my framework looks at unit economics, and Chewy's gross profit margin expanded from 16.6% in 2016 to 26.7% in 2022. So there's evidence that economies in scale are helping improve Chewy's gross profit margins. Additionally, its operating losses improved from 368 million in 2018 to 72 million in 2022. However, those are still losses. The next step in my framework looks at total addressable market, and according to Chewy, their total addressable market is roughly $100 billion. The next step in my framework is competition, and Chewy is competing with brick and mortar pet retailers like Petco and PetSmart. It's also competing against Amazon's robust offering of pet products. That said, recent industry trends suggest all participants are raising prices to combat inflation, and that's good news for investors of all of these companies, including Chewy. The next step in my framework looks at valuation, and Chewy stock is not cheap. It's trading at a price to sales ratio of 2, even though that's down considerably from the price to sales ratio over 6 it was trading at in 2021. Still, a price to sales ratio of 2 is not cheap. I would have preferred to use price to earnings or price to free cash flow to value the company, but there isn't enough history of the company's consistent positive free cash flows or positive earnings to use those metrics. The final step in my framework looks at risks, and the coronavirus pandemic has snarled supply chains, causing a shortage of materials and things that Chewy sells. Moreover, the company's finding it challenging to hire enough staffing at reasonable prices for its warehouses. That's increasing the cost for everything from cost of goods sold to sales and marketing to operational expenses at its warehouses. So this is one of the primary risks I note here, and there is no signs that these wage pressures are easing. And the next risk I note here is that pet adoption is decreasing. Pet adoption surged during the early stages of the pandemic, but unfortunately, many of these folks are returning these pets that they adopted during the earlier stages of the pandemic, and new pet adoption has decreased tremendously ever since economies started reopening. So this is a risk. Of course, the more pets that are owned, the better it is for Chewy, because people need to buy food, they need to buy medication, they need to buy beds and maybe chew toys and all of these things for their pets. So the more pets in existence, the better it is for Chewy. Now that I've looked at each step, let me give Chewy a grade in each one of these metrics. For customer value, I gave Chewy an A+. Unit economics, they got a B. Improving gross profit margins over time was good evidence of unit economics. Total addressable market of around 100 billion, they get a B- there. Competition, a B, because everybody's raising prices. That's good news for investors. The risks in the near term are really bad, really heavy risks from inflation, material shortages, labor inflation. So they get a C+ here, elevated risks. Valuation, I gave them a B-. All right, so in the next slide, I'm going to answer the question if Chewy stock is a buy. But before I do that, I'd like to recommend that you subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be providing updates to this recommendation, and you're going to want to stay tuned to receive those updates. All right, so is Chewy stock a buy right now? Chewy stock is not a buy right now. The near-term risks from snarled supply chains, labor shortages and rising inflation are too much for me to recommend Chewy stock as a buy right now. I'd like investors to wait 1 to 3 quarters to let these pandemic constraints ease up a little bit and we get more visibility into its future before I would recommend Chewy stock as a buy. All right, so that's all I've got for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill set and risk levels. So I'm proud to partner with the Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by more than 3 times. Go to fool.com/Parkev to get your 10 stock picks now.